Right, bam, we're live. Bam, we're live. All right, let's get started here. Hey, hey, Eric, welcome. Looks like we're buffering a little bit here. All right, just getting started. If you're new, let me know what part of the country you're from, and if you have any questions, anything you want to know about estimating or systems. Good to see you, Eric. All right, let's get into this. A lot of homeowners will tell you that they have a budget, and the budget's not real. It's a fake budget, but you don't know that. And when you're a newer contractor, you'll tend to want to believe them. Hey there, Jessica, you're early tonight, so you can listen to a little bit if you like. If you have questions, we can talk. Welcome back. Yeah, happy Saturday. So tonight, what I like to do the first few minutes when I'm on live, I'll share a little bit from some of my trainings, right? And maybe like 10 minutes. And then that usually gets us into some sort of a discussion. So tonight, my proposed plan is to talk about a homeowner gives us a budget, and it's often not accurate, or at least in my experience, it's not exactly what they're going to end up spending. So if that sounds good to you, I can go with that. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, pop it in the chat, and we'll get started. Hopefully, you're having a good Saturday. It's raining like crazy where I am. It could have been snow if it would have been a little colder, but unfortunately, it's just a lot of rain. All right, and here we go. Also, these are Maryland, on the Chesapeake Bay on the western shore. So, welcome. If you guys are new, just let me know what part of the country you're from. Yeah, so very beautiful here. It's just a little muddy. All right. Let's see. All right, so here we go. So again, homeowners, there's a dance that goes on. I always call it the elephant that's in the room. So we as a contractor, it's hard for us to often bid jobs because we don't know what the homeowner wants, what level of finish they're willing to pay for, right? What quality, how much effort should we put into this? Should we go with high-end paints, Benjamin Moore's, upper-end Sherwin-Williams, right? Or should we go with Behr budget get the Behr brand at the Home Depot? Does the homeowner want us to do a couple coats? Are we going to prime it? Are we going to prep the walls first? Is it going to be a level 5 finish on the sheetrock? There's all these questions. Are we going to wipe everything down first with TSP to make sure there's no grime and no adhesion issues? Or are we just going to hurry up and put a coat of paint on? You know what I'm saying? So remodeling, there's variables. And homeowners watch an episode of HGTV, and they think they know what they're talking about, and then they bring us out. Hey, Rodney, welcome. And they often don't want to give us a real price because they're afraid that us as the remodeler will take that budget and spend it all, whether it was necessary or not, take advantage of it, right? So they want to be tight-lipped. They don't want to share a price. They're waiting for us to put price out. So we have to ask a bunch of questions so that we really understand what it is they're looking for. All right. And my experience is that people want nice things. They are willing to spend money when they understand what they're getting and why it cost what it cost. Yes, and they believe everything they read on Google 100%, Jessica. And nowadays it's even worse, right? If you use AI right now, you're getting prices that you don't even know what the AI is basing the number off of when it spits it back out. So I have to share with homeowners, if a homeowner, yes, it's horrible. And it's funny, I like to ask homeowners, hey, have you guys researched how much this project should cost? And usually they might say yes. And I'll say, awesome. Tell me, what was your criteria? How did you go about researching? What kind of information and questions were you asking? Who did you ask, right? I'm getting all this data. I'm not talking price yet. I'm just asking how did they come up with price? And if they tell me that they use the internet, I'm like, awesome. I said, did you put in all the criteria? And they'll usually say, what do you mean? I say, well, the year of your house. Did you talk about the wall surface and the ceiling? Do you know what surface yours is? Is that plaster? Is it sheetrock? Has it been painted before? Do you have lead paint on here? Was it ever painted with oil? Right? Was that a semi-gloss that you're going to try to paint over? Or was it flat? Do you know the finish of the paints? How long ago was it painted? Do you know if the person, did anyone ever live in the premises that was a smoker? Are you going to have a nicotine film anywhere that's going to affect adhesion, right? Like all these questions, and they start looking at you all confused. I'm like, well, you just can't paint a wall. You have to prep it first. All the work is in the prep, right? So these are good questions to be asking the homeowners so that when you do finally come up with your price, they understand why it's up here and not down here. And then I like to give people three options: good, better, best. And last night I might have shared with you how you want to reverse the order. You always want to show the person the best, the ultimate first. You want to throw out a high number because you want to see what their initial reaction is. And if it's not all in shock, then it's good. But if it's in disbelief, they drop their coffee, or their mouth hits the floor, you might be talking to the wrong person. But then as I share with them that this is the upper level and we could do it for this level down here, once they know that there's a bottom and top, what I find happens is they take a sense, like they have a breath, they relax, and they almost never want the cheap. I explained to him I could get this super cheap. I bet you I could find some used paint from another job and I could mix it and the color. So many hire me on the spot. I always feel fear. Yeah. No, you should get them. Jessica, your superpower is your connection. You understand people, right? And when homeowners feel that they can trust you, all the fear goes away, right? Like a lot of remodelers, painters, guys probably don't even understand how easy it probably is for you to sell, because for a lot of the men, if they don't spend enough time building trust and building and gaining, like you have to get some rapport and being a little more transparent, because you have to get the homeowner's guard to drop. But once a homeowner's guard drops, yeah, they're ready to go on board, and they can't wait to find and hire the person that they trust, because the biggest issue when it comes to finding a service person to come into your house is not price, it's trust. They are afraid of making a mistake. So, yeah. But I like to, let's see, we really have a great connection, but I bet they're going to get more estimates. They might. I don't know. So I could get into a whole thing for you about questions you ask, like, hey, like I like to ask the homeowners, why am I here? Do you not know any other contractors? Like, come on now. Isn't like your brother-in-law a painter? Doesn't somebody you work with have a friend that paints? Doesn't somebody around the corner here? Like, why am I here? Are you having trouble finding somebody? Did you already find somebody and you just want to check their price? Did you bring me out here so that I could give you a price and then you could compare it to see if the person you really want to hire? Like, I'll just have that conversation with them. And when people start to see that level of honesty and transparency, it'll break down the barriers. You know, I don't know. Um, so, but I like to joke with them. Let's see. I was there because he posted on Facebook and I had speedy and great communication. He complimented. That's awesome. Very good. Well, perfect. So there's things, like in your sales repertoire, when if you come out right away, before you come out, you can say to the person over the phone, like, and when they're complimenting, saying, "This is great. I appreciate how fast you responded." And you can say, "Yeah, that's how we roll. In fact, when I come out and I look at the job with you, most likely you'll be ready to go ahead and hire me on the spot. So make sure that you have your checkbook and you figure out what time frame is good for you so that I can go ahead and book you on the calendar." Like it's called pre-framing, right? You're letting them know already that, hey, I'm a professional. And the next step is I come out, look at the job, we finalize the price, and then you schedule me and you give me a deposit. Like we don't have to have 17 other steps. So anyway, but so I'll jump back for a minute. I like to share with them that you can always get it done cheaper. And if they say to me, "Mike, that's more than we were expecting," I say, "Yeah, I hear that all the time. How much cheaper did you want it?" And then I'll say, "Look, I got some options for you. You can get used paint. You mix this, you mix that. It won't last as long. It'll probably peel and chip, but you want it cheap, right? So that's how you can do it. You don't have to prep anything. Just go ahead and paint it right over the way it is. In fact, there's some guys that usually hang out down off of Route 40, and there's a homeless camp down there. If you show up early on Monday morning, you can get the guys that aren't super hungover and they're day laborers, and you can bring them back to your house and you can pay them like 20 to $100 a day. They'll paint for you. So, I mean, you can totally get this done for cheap. Okay. Now, I don't know what kind of records they have. I don't know how high they're going to be or they're not going to be. And when you start, at least in my experience, when I have those types of conversations, yeah, you should totally talk. You have to give people the reality of the world. They look at you and they think you're too expensive. And I'm like, no, I might be more expensive, but let me explain to you why. I don't have a criminal record. I own a house. I pay for insurance for my truck, right? I don't have a drug addiction. But this is what other companies are doing. Like, how do you think labor gets so? I say to them, how do you think some of these competitors of mine can do it for so cheap? Because their employees have drug problems and they're only paying them enough to keep them for the day, and then they're high, and then they're not going to probably work for the next 2 or 3 days. And you can get into addiction rates, especially among the painting professionals. My God, the high level of alcoholism and drug problems that are in the trade, especially with painters. I just bring it all up and share with them. Like, this is what the industry, the industry's wrought with problems. But the good news is you found somebody who doesn't struggle with those types of issues. And that's why we charge the price that we charge. Clients that hire me, they like peace of mind. They want to know at night when they're going to sleep that I'm not thinking, the contractor that was there today isn't thinking about how they're going to rob the house 3 months later. Things like that. Now, again, you have to use your personality style and you communicate the way that you want to communicate. But we really have to paint an accurate picture of how, because homeowners will say to me all the time, "Mike, I can get it done cheaper." And I'm like, absolutely, you can get it done cheaper. But it's not that I'm going to be doing it cheaper. And my price is very fair for the peace of mind that I provide, right? And then I show them how to search case history for whatever your jurisdiction is. I don't know how your local court system does case law, but you should show them how they can search online and they can look at all the lawsuits and they can look up other contractors to see if they've actually been in court and if there have been lawsuits. Show them your board of licensing. I don't know if you have to be licensed in your state, but if you do, I show them how they can get in touch with my licensing board. Here, you call them and you ask them, does Mike's company have any complaints? The other company that you're thinking of hiring, do they have any complaints? Like, that's what checking references is really all about. I explain to homeowners how they should check references, All right, so I think you get the picture. Sandra Art, welcome, or Splash Art, welcome. All right, so Jessica, hopefully this is you're tracking. So let's see. Yeah. Um, as you become a little more comfortable doing this, there's a certain level and sense of reality that homeowners will appreciate. You're still professional, right? I'm not disparaging people. I'm not talking negative. I'm I'll give you an example. So I live in Maryland. We have a lot of illegal immigrants that work in my state, and a lot of my competition uses illegal immigrants. And I paint the picture for them. I say, let me explain to you what this looks like. So you're going to have a couple guys show up tomorrow at your house. They're going to be driving a van. They don't have valid driver's licenses. They don't have valid insurance. So let's just say they happen to get into an accident and they hit one of your neighbors. Are you going to be happy when the neighborhood finds out that you were the one that hired these illegal people to come work here? And now you've caused this accident, right? Like we have to think about our actions and how things work in the world and how it's all connected, right? And so I just explained to homeowners, like, yeah, this is the reality of the situation, right? And if you don't utilize illegal workforce, you bring that up in a nice way. You share, like, my employees, they have a valid state driver's license. We are insured, right? Maybe hopefully you're bonded. We are a bonded company. And the person that shows up, the ID is really them. We create badges for our employees. Have you ever seen, like, how Home Depot and Lowe's, for their install guys, they take a picture and they make a badge, they laminate it, and they let their employees wear it. Like, it clips onto their shirt, they wear it around their neck. I would strongly consider you thinking about having badges, and when you show up on the appointment, you wear a badge. It lets the homeowner know that you've been vetted, right? And you do that with your staff. So they're getting a whole different level of service. Because otherwise, in the painting world, it's challenging, right? Like, they're comparing you to some low end people a lot of times. So I would think a lot of times in your world, Jessica, and correct me if I'm wrong, I bet a lot of people say you're a little too expensive and they kind of want to get a cheaper price, right? And they're like, I don't know, $1,500 to paint that? Like, I could probably get it done for 800. So, all right. So, let's see. I don't know who else has popped in. Yeah, yeah. Well, and you know what, Jessica? Here's the other thing. I've been on thousands of appointments at home with sales, and when I first got started, I wasn't this direct and forward, right? Because I didn't have the experience, and I couldn't see through people as well. Nowadays, I just cut to the chase. And I have found that more people appreciate it. And that's why I'm able to walk in and really maneuver well. And me and the homeowner can have a very honest, direct conversation, and we can get things done in like an hour. Like, I can land a job very quickly, because all the stuff that most people don't say that gets left unsaid, that creates all the fear and doubt and the uncertainty. So your best bet is, if you're afraid to bring it up, then you're like, I guess I got to bring that up because that's what I'm afraid to bring up. Does that make sense? So, but again, do it with your personality style in a way that works for you. But the more direct you are with the homeowner, the quicker you'll get done. All right. So for me, when I meet with a lot of homeowners and we're talking about remodeling, generally we're talking bigger numbers, right? The price is going to be high. And it's usually a number that the homeowner's not used to spending. Let's just say it's 50 grand, 100 grand. The average homeowner doesn't write checks for that often. So this is a big number. So it's causing them a lot of anxiety, right? I'm used to getting $50,000 checks all the time. And to me, they're small now, right? Like, this is frustrating. I want an even bigger check. So the homeowner and I aren't looking at money in the same concepts. But I have to recognize that anytime a homeowner is probably going to spend more than $5,000, that's a large investment for them. I think the average American barely has $3,000 in savings. Most of them have like $20,000 in debt. Even people that have $1 million houses are living off of razor thin margins or budgets. And what I mean is, if either spouse, let's say two people are working and to afford this $750,000 house, they don't have a lot of money in savings. Their lifestyle is dependent upon them both working and both bringing in money to feed the machine. And so even for them, they might be getting, I don't know, they might each make 20,000 a month, 10,000 a month, but it's not like they have all this money in the bank. So a big financial commitment is nerve-wracking for the average American family. And they typically need to figure out how they're going to get the financing. If you're, I don't know if you take credit cards now or if you even offer like small loans, whatever. But a lot of times that becomes part of the issue as well. But where I want to go with this is price. They're usually bringing out in their mind, they have a safe price. Like, we only want to spend this much. And it's usually a dream price. It's kind of like when you go buy an automobile. Like, if you're going to get ready to go buy a van, most likely in your mind, you're already starting to price out what a van is going to cost. And your experience probably will be this. You'll go look at a few vans at the price point that you think you're going to spend, but then you realize that's not really what I want. I want something nicer that has more. So you'll end up spending more at the end of the day for the van than you thought you would, because what's available in the initial price range isn't what you really want. I don't know. That's just my experience. I'd be curious what your thought is. Okay, always looking for cheap. Fair enough. Now, one thing to think about with that is that, are we always looking for cheap because we're scared we can't make more, right? Like, and I joke with my homeowners, I'm like, are you looking for cheap because you don't understand the value of better? Like, anyway. All right, so let's jump on this. Now, when I'm talking with a homeowner, the first budget number is often not a real number, but I don't care. At least, yes, you don't want the scarcity mindset, but you want to recognize that you have it. Yes, I got you. And you're tracking it. All right. Our first budget number that the homeowner gives me, I almost always disregard it, but to them, I acknowledge it. So like in your situation, if I go out and look at a job, let's say it's $7,500 to paint the room. And I asked the homeowner, like, that's what I think it's going to be, but I haven't shared that with the homeowner yet. But when I'm talking to the homeowner, I'm like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, to paint this great room, I'm sure you guys have done a bunch of research. You look like you're educated folks. And what were you thinking it was going to cost? And they're going to throw out a low number. And I'll be like, yeah, I've heard that number before. I think a lot of people think it would cost that much, right? But in the back of my mind, I'm glad they shared a number, but I'm not going to expect them the final contract to be that number. Most likely it's going to be much higher. And follow me with this. That's a comfort number that they've shared with me. And when I give them my ranges, hopefully my range, their number is down here, like at the lower end of my range. And hopefully there's a lot of room up here so that I can bring them up higher. Okay. And everybody wants to be safe when we're not certain, right? Because we will spend more money if we know we're getting a good deal, right? Think about, Americans especially love to buy. We are a consumer-driven economy. Most people in America get a lot of sense of good feeling and excitement and happiness. Just go to Costco. I was in Costco today. I mean, I think the average person spends $300 in Costco every week. I mean, 700. The guy in front of me was spending $700 for his family with his food. People like to spend money, and they're excited. They're buying stuff. They don't want to be sold. And because when you go to Costco, you'll notice when you walk right in the door, there's usually trying to sell people on cell phone service, and nobody wants to talk to that person. Okay, you don't go to Costco. Fair enough. If you did, you would see that people are spending money like crazy. But there's always this person who's near the front of the store. They're trying to sell cell phone service. And they're trying to call people like, hey guys, how you doing? Do you need a new cell phone plan? Nobody wants it, right? Even people that need it don't want it because that person is trying to sell them. But what people want to do is they want to walk into Costco. They want to shop the aisles. They want to grab stuff, put it in the cart. They want to buy it. You have to work your sales process so that you're not selling it, you're allowing the homeowner to buy it, all the things. That's why you bring up the prices, you put it all out on the table and you say, well, what would you like to purchase? What is it that you want? Yes, being sold is cringy. Nobody likes it. So the successful remodelers reverse the process and lay it out so that the homeowner can start buying. They can grab what they want. No, no, I want that. Oh yeah, no, I want you to prep the walls. I want this to look real nice. No, I want the trim to be sanded first and scuffed up. That way, if one of my kids slides the furniture and bangs it into the baseboard, it won't flake off and chip because it wasn't sanded, right? If you just put multiple layers of paint over and over, it doesn't adhere properly. And so I'll explain that to homeowners. Like, look, you have this nice baseboard. It looks like it's already been painted a couple times. You're asking me to come paint it again. We should probably sand it and scuff it up and wipe it down first so that we make sure that the layer that I'm putting on adheres properly. Things like that, right? And then we see if the homeowner wants to buy that. It's not that I'm trying to sell it. Hopefully that makes sense. So the first number that usually comes out from a homeowner, that's their comfort, that's their budget number. I like to say that's always the cute number. Sure, we'll play with that, okay? And because homeowners aren't always buying our services, they're nervous. And I understand that I need to help them feel more comfortable and confident, okay? And I understand that the average American isn't good at math. That's another problem. Okay, very few people understand math. If you've ever been to a restaurant, if you've ever worked as a waitress, just watching someone try to figure out how much to tip, the average person doesn't know that tipping is pretty simple. You just move the decimal over. Like if the check was $70, right, and I want to leave a 20% tip, I just move it over. What's 10%? That's 7 times 2, that's $14. So that's 20%. If I want to do 10%, okay, that's only $7. And if I want to do like 15, I just divide and go in the middle. But this confuses the hell out of the average person. So we have to be careful how we talk about numbers. And sometimes it helps to write it out so people can see it because they can't process math in their head. If you're good at math, okay, just remember that part. And homeowners like to anchor and remember the first number that ever comes out of my mouth or your mouth. So that is why most remodelers and salespeople get themselves into trouble, because when they give a range or a ballpark, they say the first number as the lower one. Hey, Mr. and Miss Smith, to paint this great room, I don't know, it's going to probably be between 2,500 and 10,000. The homeowner naturally remembers the 2,500, and then any price that you end up coming to that is higher, they're always disappointed because it's not 2,500. But if you reverse it and the first number out of your mouth is the high number, that's called the set or anchor, and they hear 10,000 first, but you and me both know that it's very unlikely that the homeowner is going to pay 10 grand. They might. Some people want all the bells and whistles, but what is I don't want them buying the 2,500. I want them somewhere in the middle. So that's why I say the first number high, and then we settle at maybe 6,500, and they're excited. They feel like they've gotten a deal, right? That makes them want to buy it more. All right. And I'm not like correcting the homeowner, I'm just educating the homeowner. I'm sharing with them. I'll be like, hey, do you know how contractors even price painting jobs? Have you ever painted? Did you ever work for a painter? Well, this is how we like to, and I get into how we price jobs. I'm like, well, we look at like the square footage and the difficulty, and will it take ladders? How much time will I be here? Where am I parking my vehicle? Are you going to let me park in the driveway? Do I have to park around the corner? Do you have kids? Are they going to be running around the house? Are you going to keep the area safe for me? What about pets? Are you locking the pets away? Am I going to have to worry about a cat running around while I'm trying to paint this place? Are you going to move all the furniture out, or do I have to paint around all your furniture? Like, all of this stuff comes into how we figure out how to price a job. That way, if the homeowner ever wants the price maybe different than what it is, I can offload the work that I would normally have to do onto them so that they can have a lower price, because I'm not lowering my profit, but I might lower my scope. So for instance, if a homeowner says, my God, we don't have 8,500 to paint the living room, I'll be like, well, you got a lot of furniture in here. You got some kids, you have a nephew, have them come over. Can you get everything pushed into the center of the room and we'll put a tarp over it? Can you go ahead and vacuum this entire room for me before I show up so that when I lay my drop cloths and everything down, I'm working in a nice clean environment? Would you want to go ahead and wipe down all the baseboards? I'll give you this solution. Would you do all that first? Because then the price can come down some because I'm doing less work, right? I don't do this all the time, but I do this when there is a need to do some negotiating, possibly. I'm not lowering my price as in what I'm gonna earn as profit, but I will lower my scope because if I still am gonna make the same percent of profit. Hopefully that makes sense. Hey there, Dustin Chapman. Thank you for sharing. Let me know what part of the country you're from, Dustin. I don't know if I've seen you in here before. Hey, hey. To give princess treatment so they don't have to lift the fan. Yes. So yeah, perfect. So if you're going to have multiple packages, you want them to buy the upper level. So absolutely. Yeah, like the white princess package, the white glove service. Exactly. Nope, that's very good. So, and then obviously, so now Jessica, you see like this is some of the stuff that comes involved in how you do the sales. So then from there, what we do is now once we have the homeowners contacting us, right? Now we need to set up the systems so that we can work with automating the process, right? And doing all that. And we talked a little bit about that before. And I know you're aware you can get into the link if you want to look at CRMs and things like that as well. Dustin, I don't know what Tennessee means. Tennessee? Oh, you're in Tennessee? Okay, perfect. Thanks, Dustin. Yes. So, yeah, Jessica, something that would be very helpful for homeowners. You sh In general, any large corporation has figured that most of them have three product lines. And in simple terms, we have good, better, and best. And in your world, some of that's going to be, folks, I do everything for you. I handle it all. It's a one call. I'm a one call contractor. You call me, you don't have to contact anybody else, right? We take care of everything. And then your lower packages put more responsibility back out to the homeowner to do some things. And that's how they can get a slightly lower price if that's what they really desire. And then at the same time, you might decide that you don't even want the work. So, like in my world, right, with helping other contractors get their automation set up so that they can do emails and follow up with the homeowners, right, and have the a way to schedule projects, a way to schedule sending out invoices, right, and scheduling out your social media posts. I can offer a package that has we do it all for you, or you do some, we do some, or you have to do a lot of it, right? So it's all the same thing. You want to set up your packages and it's based off of what the homeowner is going to be receiving. So, absolutely. Every second or third job, I get screwed on space management issues. Gotta love that. Okay, so Dustin, help me understand. Are you a painter as well? Got a couple painters in here tonight. Yeah, yeah. So hopefully, Dustin, you're going through and being very upfront with the homeowner and discussing all that, like talking about what's in the space. Like if the house is lived in currently, while you're working in it, where are they going to be? Are the homeowners, do they work from home? Do they go out and leave? Is there going to be furniture in the house? Who's responsible for moving it? Are you supposed to? Are they? Who's responsible for getting the room clean and prepped? Is it me? Is it you? Yeah. I mean, somebody, you have to have that discussion up front for sure. Dustin, how long have you been in the paint world? Okay, 3 years. That's good. Okay, so you're still working for someone doing some projects on the side. No worries. Um, I've been putting out a few videos that get into that whole process. Yeah, when you're ready, you make the jump and you jump in with both feet. Okay, that's you don't ever want to. It's dangerous to dance between wanting to get the business and wanting to stay employed. Like a lot of times, you just have to make the jump at a certain point. But I get it. That's cool. Is it? So what else? Any other questions? Anybody have? You got questions about scheduling projects, estimating projects, following up on projects, selling projects? How do you guys estimate? Do you do square footage? Do you do hourly? Do you just say to yourself, well, if I have to send a crew over here and they're going to be here for 2 days, it costs X plus materials? Okay. So Jessica, you take square footage. Very good. And then how do you determine, Jessica, how have you determined, do you have a set markup that you're using? And if so, how have you determined that? Yeah, so Dustin, you might have missed, okay, 30%. Okay. So Dustin, it's you always want to start high and go to low. And you always want to have a range. You want to do what's called a ballpark typically. You don't want to use, when I'm still feeling someone out, I like to just give a ballpark right up front to make sure that we're all on the same page. And if the number doesn't completely scare them, and if something within the range seems relevant to them, like they could work with that, then you move forward and like go out on site, meet with them. But I tend to weed out homeowners right away, all on the phone in the first phone call within like 15 minutes. I'm discussing a price range and I call it a ballpark, an estimate. I say, I don't know, it probably could cost 500 to 3,000. What were you thinking it was going to cost? And I'll say, then the next step would be to go out and get them the specific price. Now, Jessica, 30% seems low to me, but what are your thoughts on why you're using 30? Yeah, yeah, it seems I and please forgive me when I say this, okay? I'm like I feel like 50, you need at least a 50%, right? I don't know how you're surviving on a 30%. Or some guys are doubling it, like 100%. So do you, and you don't have to answer this. Like I find a lot of people, it's just building up confidence to feel like because I would imagine you are worth it. Like I could imagine that you guys do amazing work and you probably give the homeowner an amazing experience, right? So like all that has value. Yeah, it's so there's margin, markup, profit margin. I don't want to break all that down tonight, Dustin. I have other videos where I talk about markup, margin, profit, and the differences. But yeah, typically you need to at least take your costs and add. So in painting, it's a little easier in the painting world, right? Because your materials are going to be a couple $100 typically, and then your labor, and you take them both, you add it together, and then you multiply a number on top of that to say this is how much we're going to sell the job for. Yeah. So Jessica, hopefully one of your goals is for 2026 is you raise that profit margin and get and self do a lot of self talk, right? You build yourself up and say I'm worth it, like we deserve it, and we're going to charge it, and we're going to get it every day, and we're not looking back. Like you burn the boat, 30% that boat's burned, it's 50% or more going forward for the rest of the year. Heck, on some jobs it should be 75, maybe 100. I don't know, but to me, I think yeah, I think now that you have your painting legs under you, as they say, you're 100% worth it and deserve it, and shouldn't have any trouble getting it. In the painting world, I think you market the whole thing up. Just whatever your cost is, boom, mark it up. Yeah. So Dustin, I use I rate when I meet with homeowners, I rate them based off of agreeabilityness. How agreeable are they? How easy are they to work with? How easy are they going to make the job for me? Or how difficult? How picky are they? Right? If their house is spotless and their shirts are pressed, you know the type of person. I mean, the iron line goes down the sleeve, and they are just pitched, and you know that they want every single detail. That's a high maintenance. So that person, you have to charge a lot more of a markup, or you have to account for more hours on the job to land, to make that customer happy. So that customer should pay 100% more. Somebody else that's a little sloppy doesn't mean they're not a good person, but they live like with a little more chaos. They're not going to hold you to the same standard. Well, the amount of time that you'll have to spend to make them happy is less. So yeah. All right. Yeah. So Jessica, I would is 30% covering it for your staff? I don't feel like that's enough markup for your people. Jessica, you hopefully you have so Jessica, you got to start building that. Okay, I hear you. Yes, there in the painting world specifically, there's a lot of lower priced individuals. And let me break it down to you like this. When I first got started, I hired a roofer. I needed a new roof put on a house. I didn't was Like I said, I was rehabbing a house. I didn't know how to do it. I hired the guy. And he said to me, he goes, Mike, I got two prices. I have the safe price, and then I have the get it while it's hot price. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, over on Route 40, he goes, I can pick up guys that have drug addictions and I can hire them as day laborers and I can bring them here and we can knock out this roof in 2 days. It won't be the same guys for the 2 days, but I can charge you that price to bring those guys over here to get the job done. Or I can bring my other crew. They live in a nice house. They have a family. They have, right, they're insured, everything. I can bring them over and then there's that price. What price are you looking for? And I share this story with homeowners a lot, and because I want them to understand the real level of risk that they're taking when they hire the cheap person. Okay, I hear you. But this is the truth. Like they need to, the homeowner doesn't have any clue in how risky. Like you have to look at a homeowner and say, are you sure you want to hire that? Are you sure that they're licensed? I mean, are you sure that they even have like a driver's license? Are you sure that they're insured? Are the license plates that are on the vehicle even real? Do they have a drug problem? Are they going to be here high? Do you want that around your family? Like, I don't think the average homeowner actually really even understands who they're bringing into their house to get their house. I mean, again, the addiction level, especially among painters, is through the roof. So I don't get the impression that that's your issue, right? But your competition that's not charging enough money, that is the reality. Well, the owner of the company might be well known, but there's something amiss. If they're that cheap, then they're bringing in illegal work. They're guys. Something's amiss, right? Yeah. So, and Jessica, probably what else is happening is that white glove service that you have to find a way to differentiate yourself with a premium finish. You know, the only other thing they could be doing is they could be quicker. So that's another thing that I had to learn over time was like for me, for like, let's say a kitchen remodel, I had to stop doing them in 3 months and figure out how to get them done in 6 weeks so that when I gave a price, I was making a lot more money. Yeah, there's no way he's doing the same level of service. There's there's no way you must be giving a lot more prep work. They must be skimping on coats. There's no way that they're giving a primer coat and two finish coats and they're using all good name brand paints. There's just no way. I mean, I guess we'd have to look at some of their estimates, but there's something amiss. Yeah. Yeah, but now Jessica, hear me. They say they want the lower price, but when I'm sitting there with them and I say, well, okay, so the other guy's 10K less. So I say to them, how do you think he's doing it for 10K less? And then I'll start, well, this is probably what they're doing. They're probably not doing the prep work. They're probably not wiping everything down. They're probably not giving you the amount of coats that they say you are. They're probably just doing one heavy coat as opposed to a proper thin coat, two of them, right? Or they're only going to cut in on the first coat. They're not going to actually go back and cut in again on the second coat. You're going to see those streaks, right? Turn and burn. Yeah. And I would say to the homeowner, I mean, we could do say I could look at a turn and burn, and I bet you if I did the same quality that they were doing, I could probably bring my price down. But the reality is, then neither of us would be happy. You won't like the work. I won't like the fact that you're not a 5-star reviewer for me on Google. So we both know that that's not where we want to go. So let's come back to reality. I don't know, like there's a way to language it and bring them back into reality. So, but I definitely hear you. There's always going to be cheaper people. Okay, you got the job. I had to come down. I still sold the job at 11. And yeah. So okay. So see, you're already showing me that it does work. Yeah, yeah, perfect. Now you were able to get the job. That's awesome. Hey, contractor Damon, welcome. So yeah, but you're one thing, Jessica, to consider in the future too is before you have to get into defending your prices. I like to share a lot of those stories about the cheaper people up front. And I want to, while I'm at the homeowner's house and I'm measuring things, I like to tell them stories. I like to tell them about the painter that I hired the very first time. And I didn't know that he was an alcoholic and he showed up drunk. And when he was spray painting he was supposed to be using a gray coat sprayer with an extension arm to spray the underside of the soffit. How he was drunk and he kept swaying and he just spray painted, or the sprayer was putting paint on my brand new asphalt shingles on my roof. And so here I thought I was saving $2,000 by hiring this guy, and he ended up costing me $5,000 in damages. And I'm like, he's a reputable painter. He wears a Sherwin-Williams t-shirt and hat. They love him at Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams recommends him to people all the time. And he has, this is what you're going to get. So just understand that a lot of people, their level of acceptance for what they consider good is varies. You and I, Mr. and Ms. Hunter, we could be talking about what a good quality paint job looks like. And you're thinking you're talking to that person and they are going to say, yeah, I'll give you a good quality paint job, but we're not talking about the same thing. So I just share these types of stories with the homeowner. This is while I'm measuring, right? And we're figuring out, like I like to say, oh, let me tell you about this one. This was great. I said, you're not getting a quote from Billy, are you? Yeah, Billy, he's recommended by Sherwin-Williams. Oh my God, Billy, I hired him 5 years ago to help me paint this house. And he was out there on the ladder getting it. And like, it's funny. But this is reality. I'm not making these stories up. This really happens. So, but anyway, Jessica, definitely look at your margins. Hopefully you use an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yes, and definitely a lot of people are living above their means. They can't even really afford to take care of it. So another thing you can talk about a lot with people, I have what's called the Consumer's Guide to Home Remodeling, and it has all these stories and it talks about lawsuits. So when I first got into the business, I was hired by a law firm to be an expert witness for home remodeling disputes between the homeowner and the contractor. And every one of the disputes, you want to know what it was the common denominator? The homeowners always hired the cheaper person. Never once in the history of lawsuits between homeowners and contractors does the homeowner hire the high-end person, the top-notch company. There's no lawsuits. There's no disputes in that world. All of the court cases, all of the horror stories are homeowners thinking that they're smart, thinking that they're getting a better deal. They think they're buying the same thing, but they're being taken advantage of, right? It's why people get scammed all the time on like vacations, right? Home remodeling, people get scammed all the time. They think they're getting a better deal. And somehow we have to help educate them to let them know you might get paint on the wall. Yes, by both me and my competitor. But the way it gets there how it gets there, the level of care that's taken to put it there, the type of person who is applying that paint to your wall, completely different. Huge disparity. So I hired an HVAC company to replace I had a unit, an outdoor unit that wasn't working properly on a house that I was renovating. And it was about an hour from where I normally work. So I hired a different company. So they show up on a Wednesday afternoon, and while they're there, they make the repair. And then while they're there, they find out that the house is vacant. The technician has a drug problem that I don't know about, and the company he works for, I don't know if they know about it or not. That Saturday, that technician drove back to my investment property that was vacant, broke into the back door, ripped out all the appliances, and stole them so he could pawn them for his drug addiction. The refrigerator line was connected for the ice maker. He didn't shut the water off, he just ripped it. It flooded the house. So the brand new basement, yes, he just cut the copper line. So the brand new basement that was underneath the kitchen just got destroyed because I didn't know that the house was broken into on Saturday. So the water just kept running till I showed up like Tuesday. And when I showed up, the back door was open, all the appliances were gone, and he stole the brand new HVAC system that he came to repair for his company. And the neighbor said, we thought something was messed up because they were working here on the weekend and you don't normally work on the weekend, but it was the same guy that you had here the other day. So we figured you knew him and he was doing more work for you. Right? And this was in a nice neighborhood, like not the kind of neighborhood that has crime. People aren't having their houses broken into, things aren't being stolen. And like I said, the neighbors saw the guy at the house and they thought, well, he was here the other day working for Mike, so he must be fine. Correct. And I made the mistake of hiring a company that I didn't know from Adam just because it was in a different part of town that I don't normally do work in. Anyway, but I like to just tell the homeowners all these stories because these are like, they really have happened to me. So anyway, all right, you guys have been awesome. I appreciate you hopping in tonight on the lives. Hopefully, you walk away with some food for thought. I appreciate Jessica and Dustin. I appreciate the comments for sure. Thank you so much. So we hopefully will catch you on another one. And either of you, if you ever have any questions, if you're looking into helping with your automations or you want to get on a strategy call, you can always click on the bio on this account and do that. Otherwise, if you're following the account, you'll get notified when I go live. And I appreciate you guys, right? Thank you so much. So yes, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Have a good night yourself. Dustin, thanks for being here, my man. And look forward to hearing more about how you're going to get ready to start your own thing, Dustin. All right? Take care. Thanks, Jessica.